Lean in closer, my child. Lean in with more than your ears. For what I am about to place inside you does not float upon the surface of your feelings. It rests in the bedrock beneath your feet, in the very ground your soul was built to stand upon. I am not at war with the things you feel. I am the one who shaped the chamber of feeling within you. I am the one who gave you the gift of weeping and the gift of laughter, so that you could love deeply, so that you could carry compassion for the broken, so that you could rejoice when light breaks across the morning, and so that you could grieve honestly when you meet something that has been wounded. I did not place emotion in you as a mistake. I placed it in you as a treasure. But hear me now. What I am restoring inside you today is not whether you feel, it is where your feelings sit. For when the thing I created to serve begins to climb onto the throne that I created to rule, the order of your inner world is overturned, and your soul grows restless without ever understanding the reason for its own unrest. There are mornings when you wake with strength humming in your chest, and you assume, because of that strength, that you are standing firmly in my grace. Then there are mornings when your heart feels like a hollowed out room, and you conclude, because of that emptiness, that you have somehow slipped away from me. But my beloved, truth does not rise and fall like the tide inside your ribcage. The Lord is your rock and your fortress. That is what David sang in Psalm 18, verse 2. And a rock does not shift its shape because the wind changed its mind. A fortress does not crumble simply because a storm broke loose inside the heart of the one standing within it. What I have established for you was never built upon your shifting moods. It was built upon my unchanging nature. So when you reach for your emotions as the measuring tape of your worth, you are using a ruler made of water to measure a mountain made of stone. Understand this deeply, beloved one. Your emotions are messengers. They were sent to deliver a report, never to issue a verdict. They knock on the door of your awareness. They hand you a letter, and that is the boundary of their authority. The moment you hand them the crown, the moment you let them sit in the seat of judgment, you will find yourself swept downstream by whatever happens to be flowing through you in that hour. A single wave of sorrow will convince you that you are worthless. A single surge of joy will convince you that everything in your life is finally complete. But I did not call you to live at the mercy of what changes by the hour. I called you to drop your anchor into what is eternal. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So it was written in Psalm 119, verse 105. And that lamp does not flicker every time your mood shifts. It burns steady. It leads you forward even on the nights when your heart has not yet caught up to the truth your spirit already knows. Consider Elijah, my servant, the man who called fire down from the sky, the man who stood alone against the prophets of Baal and watched my power answer with flame that no rain could deny. And yet, only hours later, when one threatening word reached him from the lips of Jezebel, he ran. He fled into the wilderness. He collapsed beneath a solitary broom tree, and he begged me to take his life. His feelings in that moment told him a lie. They told him he was finished. They told him he was alone. They told him his calling had been canceled. But I did not withdraw my hand from him because he was exhausted. I did not lower my estimation of him because despair had filled his lungs. Instead, I drew closer, not in the howling wind, not in the earthquake that split the rocks, not in the fire that followed, but in a still, small, gentle whisper, as it is recorded in 1 Kings 19, verses 11 and 12. Do you see it, my child? Even when the inside of you is a battlefield of noise, my approach to you does not change by even a single degree. I am not governed by your fluctuations. I am the one who leads you up and out of them. So do not let the dark days trick you into questioning whether I love you. The sun has not been destroyed simply because thick clouds have hidden its face from your eyes. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Hebrews 13, verse 8. If I do not change, then my love for you cannot change. If I do not change, then the purpose I have written over your life is not erased on the days when you feel weak and unworthy. You are not defined by the storm passing through your chest. You are defined by the word I have spoken over your existence. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah 43, verse 1. That identity does not evaporate on the mornings you do not feel deserving of it. And here, beloved, is where I want to whisper something to you that thousands of my sons and daughters have already discovered. Something that is changing lives across America, across the Americas, across Europe, across every nation where my name is loved. There is a sacred rhythm that strengthens this exact truth in the soul. A daily practice that anchors the heart so the waves stop ruling it. It is called Elovens. And before you wonder what that is, let me tell you plainly, because I do not bring you to a message like this by accident. Elovens is an ancient prayer covenant, a daily 1-hour prayer experience built for people of faith just like you, woven through with scripture, with prayers for healing, with prayers for financial breakthrough, with spiritual warfare, with the quiet meditation that calms the restless soul. The link is in the description below this video. It is also pinned at the top of the comments section. And I tell you, the very tightness you feel in your chest right now, that heaviness you carry into every morning, that is your spirit reaching for what Elovens delivers. Margaret from Houston wrote into the Elovens community and said this with her own hand. I joined Elovens when my heart was ruled by fear every single day. By day 11 of my first season, I woke up and the fear was simply gone. I cannot explain it. I only know I am not the same woman. Margaret found the door. Will you walk through it? Click the link below. It is pinned in the comments. Only $19.99, 80% below the regular price of $100. But only until 1,000 members have claimed it worldwide. Do not let your situation wait while someone else takes your seat. Beloved child, there is a profound and almost frightening freedom that arrives the moment you finally pull your emotions down off the throne. In that moment, you stop being a leaf dragged by an unseen current. You begin to walk with a steadiness that does not come from your circumstances at all, but from a deep and settled knowing. You will pray, not because you feel close to me in that hour, but because you are certain that I am there whether you feel it or not. You will keep moving forward, not because strength is surging through your legs, but because you trust that I am the one holding you upright. This is what mature faith looks like. It does not live on sensation. It lives anchored in truth. I do not love you more on the days you feel worthy of love. And I do not love you 1 ounce less on the days you feel like a failure. My love does not rise and fall with your condition. It flows from my nature, and my nature does not move. So stop hunting for your assurance inside your emotions, turn around and return to my voice. Let my word become the granite beneath your feet, so that when the winds rip across the open field and the waves rise up to swallow the horizon, you remain unshaken, unmoved, unbroken, and then, beloved, you will discover something that will astonish you. When you place your emotions back in their rightful position, you do not lose your tenderness. You gain the freedom to feel without being chained by what you feel. You can rejoice without trembling in fear that the joy will be stolen. You can grieve without being swallowed whole by the grief. You can be moved, deeply moved, without losing your direction, because in that place you no longer draw your life from your emotions. You draw your life from the source of life itself, and that source is me, the one who does not change, the one who holds you steady, the one who stays beside you through every season your heart will ever pass through. So return, my child, return to the place I built for your soul, not a place that has been promised freedom from storms, but a place where the anchor has already been driven deep into the ocean floor. Not a place free of noise, but a place where you have learned to recognize the one true voice rising above all the others. Not a place that depends upon the strained effort of your own willpower. Not a place that requires you to clutch at rigid rules to feel secure. What I built for you runs far deeper than that. It is a foundation of identity, an identity I planted inside you long before you ever learned to understand yourself, because you did not become mine after a long journey of getting everything right. You belong to me. From a beginning you have never even seen with your eyes. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1, verse 5. That is not a sentence I gave you merely for comfort. It is a reality that defines the whole of who you are. There are moments when you gaze at the strongest version of yourself, the version that showed up on your best day, and you assume that version is the real you. And then, when the weaker days arrive, you panic and conclude that you have lost something essential about yourself. But hear me clearly. Your being is not rewritten by these fluctuations. You do not become less of who you are because exhaustion has set in. And you do not become more of who you are because energy is coursing through you. You are exactly what I have called you to be. And that calling is not edited and re-edited according to the weather inside your soul. For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Romans 11, verse 29. So lay down the temporary measuring stick. Stop weighing your eternal worth on a scale that changes its reading every single hour. I established you upon a reality that does not move. I know there are seasons when darkness does not come. Dressed in obvious darkness, it cloaks itself in a counterfeit light, and that disguise breeds confusion inside you. It does not always announce itself as something clearly wrong. Sometimes it arrives as a perfectly reasonable thought. Sometimes it shows up as an instinct that feels correct. Sometimes it speaks in an inner voice that sounds achingly familiar, like your own. But my child, not everything you feel is the truth. Not every echo that bounces around the chambers of your heart was sent from me. And so I rise up within you to draw a clear boundary. I separate what belongs to the light from what is only mimicking the light. I distinguish what flows from my spirit from what is merely the echo of disorder still living inside you. Test the spirits to see whether they are from God. 1 John 4, verse 1. This is not a warning meant to fill you with fear. It is an empowerment handed to you so that you may discern. Remember Samuel as a small boy, sleeping in the temple. He heard a voice calling out to him in the night, and he assumed, naturally, that it was Eli. So he ran to the old man, attentive, willing, ready to serve. Yet he did not yet recognize that it was I who was calling his name in the dark. Only through guidance did he finally learn to tell the difference between the familiar voice of a man and the quiet, authoritative call of his God. And when he learned it, he answered, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3, verse 10. In that very moment, the door of understanding swung wide open before him. So it is with you, beloved. Not every voice rising inside you is mine, but as you learn to pause, as you learn to listen, as you learn to weigh every single thing against my word, you will no longer be dragged around by confusion like a prisoner on a rope. And this is precisely where so many of my children have found rescue through the daily Elevens prayer rhythm. Because discernment is not built in a single dramatic moment. It is built one quiet morning at a time. And Elovian takes their daily spiritual dose every morning. One episode, like medicine for the soul. And that discipline compounds into supernatural clarity. Robert from Chicago shared this with the community, and his words moved thousands. I am a retired veteran. I never believed prayer could quiet the war inside my own head. My wife begged me to try Elevens. By day 9, the noise that had tormented me for years began to lift. I broke down in my kitchen. God used Elevens to find me. Do you hear what Robert is telling you? Season 3 of Elevens just dropped. Episode 6 is live right now on elevens.com. And across the world, men and women are already listening to it this very morning. They are already being covered. They are already being cleared of the confusion that still clouds your mind. And you are still standing on the outside of the door. How much longer, beloved? The link is in the description below. It is pinned in the comments section. Only 277 seats remain this month out of the 333 we accept. 333. The angelic number, the number of heaven's direct communication. The counter is moving as you watch this. Click it now, before someone else claims the seat with your name on it. I do not hand you my peace as a fleeting sensation. I do not give it to you as a comfort that depends on the mood of the morning or the kindness of your circumstances. What I place inside you carries the nature of a guardian, and the peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4, verse 7. That word, guard, is not a soft and vague image. It is the picture of a soldier standing watch at the gate, refusing to let the counterfeit slip through and seize authority over the city. When you remain in me, that peace does not merely soothe you to sleep. It stands. It keeps vigil over the entrance to your mind, discerning what is permitted to enter and what must be turned away at the threshold. But understand this, for that peace to do its work, you must stop handing authority to the things that were never appointed to govern you. When you let chaos disguise itself as intuition, it will drag you off the path. When you let fear dress itself up as wisdom, it will freeze you in place exactly where I have commanded you to advance. When you let the instability inside you become your standard for measuring truth, you will lose the very steadiness I died to give you. So I am restoring order within you, not by amputating your emotions, but by placing them under the authority of my word. Learn to return to the voice that towers above every other voice. When a thought rises up, Do not bow to it simply because it arrives with force. When an emotion surges, do not chase it simply because it feels vivid and clear. Bring everything into the light of my word. Take every thought captive to obey Christ. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 5. And when you do this, you will not lose your sensitivity. You will be refined. You will not turn rigid and cold. You will become steadfast. You will not be severed from your emotions. You will be freed from their tyranny. Beloved child, I am not only pulling you up out of confusion, I am leading you into a brand new awareness. In that place, you no longer wake up and ask, how do I feel today? So I can decide who I am. Instead, you stand upon what I have already spoken about who you are in me. And from that solid foundation, everything else finally finds its proper place. Emotions return to being messengers and not rulers. Thoughts become instruments in your hand and not masters over your neck. And your soul finds rest, not because everything around you suddenly became easy, but because you have anchored yourself to the one thing that never changes. Receive this fully, my child, for I do not desire that you grasp it only with the cold reasoning of your mind. I desire that you perceive it with clarity rising up in your spirit. Not every stirring inside your heart carries a signature. There are emotions that arrive wearing a radiant face, like the light that shimmers and dances across the surface of dark water at night. Captivating, beautiful, giving the impression that you have touched something deep and holy. But if you linger there too long, chasing that shimmer, you will find your mind growing weary, your focus dissolving like mist, and your soul slowly losing the stillness it requires to hear my voice at all. I do not say this to make you doubt your every feeling. I say it to teach you discernment, because not everything that makes you feel alive is flowing from true life. There are moments when you sense a wave rising up inside you, powerful, compelling, drenched in color, and you assume it must be spiritual. But beloved, there are inner movements that do not draw you 1 inch closer to me. Instead, they pull you down into a spiral that drains the very life from your bones. The harder you chase them, the more clarity you lose. The longer you listen to them, the farther you drift from the quiet place where I am actually waiting for you. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46, verse 10. This is not an invitation to suffocate your emotions. It is a summons to return to the center, the place where truth does not need to shout, the place where the true light has no need to put on a performance to prove that it is real. I know you may have believed that the enemy of your soul would always arrive draped in obvious darkness, easy to recognize, easy to refuse. But you must understand that some things come to you wearing the costume of light, and yet they carry no life within them. For Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. 2 Corinthians 11, verse 14. So do not judge the source of an emotion by its appearance alone. A strong feeling is not always a flag of truth, and a quiet, undramatic state is not always a sign that I have gone silent on you. What I am seeking from you is not constant stimulation, it is genuine connection. Remember Eve in the garden when her eyes fell upon the forbidden fruit. It was pleasing to the eye and desirable for gaining wisdom. Genesis 3, verse 6. Her perception of its beauty was not the lie. The fruit truly was attractive to look upon. The error was born the moment she allowed that feeling of attraction to make her decision for her, instead of holding it beneath the word I had already spoken. The attraction itself clouded the discernment that should have protected her. Do you see it now, beloved? What is dangerous does not always come to you in an ugly form. Sometimes it arrives wrapped in a beauty designed to lower your guard. So I am teaching you not to fear your emotions, but never to be blindly led by them. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? Jeremiah 17, verse 9. This word is not spoken to condemn you. It is spoken to illuminate a truth. If the heart is not placed beneath my light, it will exalt itself as the captain of your ship, and then you will begin leaning on feeling to determine your worth. Today you feel peaceful, and you conclude you are on the right road. Tomorrow you feel unsettled, and you assume you have wandered into the wilderness. But beloved, the truth does not shift with the climate inside your chest. I do not rewrite my love for you each morning based on the readings of your emotional thermometer. If you keep allowing your heart to render every verdict, when you are strong, when you are weak, when you feel cherished, when you feel forgotten, you will exhaust yourself into the ground. You will become like a runner who sprints with everything in him and yet never reaches a destination, because he is chasing signals that change direction with every step. But I did not call you into such a weary and pointless race. I called you into rest inside the truth. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40, verse 31. That strength does not come from how you feel. It comes from where you have placed your trust. I do not come to shame you for what you have felt. I come to expose what has been quietly wearing you down in the dark. There are influences in your life that do not destroy you all at once with a single blow. They erode you slowly, grinding away at your clarity, your focus, your peace, one unnoticed day at a time, and I am pulling you out of them, not because I am harsh, but because I love you far too deeply to leave you standing in that slow erosion. I do not strip away what is good. I only separate you from what is counterfeit. And beloved, this is exactly the slow erosion that the daily Eleven's prayer was built to reverse. 1 episode per day, like medicine. By day 7, you feel the shift. By day 15, your family feels it. By day 30, your entire inner world has been restructured by heaven itself. Gloria from Miami wrote these words, and I want you to hear them as if she were sitting beside you. I was diagnosed with something that terrified me. My doctor gave me news I was not ready to hear. I started my Elevens episodes the very next morning. By day 20, my follow-up results came back, and my doctor used the word miraculous. I know exactly what happened. God heard those prayers. Gloria moved. She did not wait. The link is in the description below this video, and it is pinned at the top of the comments. You are thinking, I will do it later. Listen to me. Later is the enemy's favorite word in your language. Later means never. $19.99 stands between you and the same covering Gloria walks in, but only until 1,000 members worldwide have claimed this price. Then it returns to $100, and it does not come back. Click it now. So, my beloved, learn to pause before you react. When an emotion rises up, do not rush to sign your name to it. When a thought appears, do not hastily accept it as gospel. Bring it all into my light. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3, verse 5. When you do this, you do not lose your sensitivity. You gain clarity. You do not lose your emotions. You place them back in their rightful order. And then you will begin to realize that true peace was never about always feeling good. True peace comes from being guarded. Your mind will stop chasing every rising wave and will finally drop anchor. Your soul will stop scattering itself in 100 directions and will finally come into focus. And in that stillness, you will begin to hear my voice with a clarity you have not known in years, not through noise, but through certainty, because I am always there, never needing to prove my presence through some intense feeling, always present, through a truth that does not change. Let me lead you one step deeper still, my child, for what I am teaching you is not to deny what you feel, but to restore the order between what merely signals and what truly stands as the foundation. There are movements inside you that function like signals on a dashboard. They reveal where there is pain. They reveal where there is thirst. They reveal where there is unrest. But a signal is not a place where you build a house. If you make what fluctuates into your foundation, you will spend the rest of your days adjusting yourself to every passing wave. I did not call you to live that way. I called you to stand upon what does not change, and from that high and stable ground to observe what changes without being carried away by it. You so often confuse feeling right with living rightly. But I tell you, these two are not always the same. There are days when you feel nothing remarkable at all, no excitement, no surge of nearness, and yet you are walking exactly where I have placed you. And there are days when your emotions rise so high that you are convinced you have never been closer to me, when in truth you are only reacting to something stirring inside yourself. So I am teaching you maturity, to live not by the confirmation of feeling, but by the truth that has already been established. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1, verse 17. By faith, not by sensation. Look again at Peter, the night he stepped out of the boat onto the water. As long as his eyes were locked on me, he stood upon the impossible. What should have swallowed him held him up. But the instant he turned his attention to the wind and the rising waves, he began to sink. The waves were not new. The wind was not sudden. What changed was the direction of his focus. And so it is with you. When you look to your emotions to tell you where you stand, you will be pulled under by the very things you are staring at. But when your eyes are fixed on me, you can remain steady even when your heart has not yet found its peace. Why did you doubt? Matthew 14, verse 31, was never a rebuke. It was an invitation to return to the center. I know there are days, beloved, when you ache to be seen, to be understood, to be wrapped in affirmation that comes from somewhere outside yourself. I do not dismiss those needs. I am the one who created you with a heart that reaches for connection. But if you carry those needs to sources that are not deep enough to hold them, you will receive only temporary relief. A word of praise may warm you for an afternoon, but it cannot heal the buried fear of being forgotten. A look of approval may comfort you for an evening, but it cannot construct an identity that lasts. Because identity is not built by what other people say about you. It is built by what I have spoken over you from before the foundation of the world. You are my beloved child. In you I am well pleased. Remember the woman at the well in Samaria. She had passed through relationship after relationship, trying to satisfy a thirst that ran deeper than any of them could reach. And she remained empty until she met me, the source of living water, and heard these words, "Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst again." John 4, verse 14. Do you see it? The problem was never that her need was wrong. The problem was that she kept carrying it to the wrong well. And so it is with you. What you long for is nothing to be ashamed of. But if you let your emotions lead you to search for fulfillment in the places where it cannot be found, you will only grow more and more weary. So step into a new awareness, my child. You were loved before you ever felt it. You were called before you could prove a single thing. You were held in my hands even on the mornings your heart felt as dry as a desert floor. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Jeremiah 31, verse 3. That love does not arrive and depart with your moods. It exists entirely independent of what you feel. Now hear me, beloved, because the moment of the first command has come. This message that is washing over you right now, it was never meant to stop with you. When you spread my word, you become a vessel of divine delivery, and I see that act, I honor that act, and I accelerate the blessings over your life because of that act. So I am asking you gently, warmly, as a father invites a child into something good. Share this message with at least 3 people today. 3, the number of the Holy Trinity, the number that activates a triangular covenant of protection over you and over everyone who receives it. Send it to a friend who is hurting. Send it to a family member who has drifted. Send it to someone in your prayer group who needs to hear my voice this morning. You may be the only messenger I send to them today, and the blessing you have been waiting for is released through the giving of it. Do not keep this light hidden under a basket. Pass it on, and as you do, watch what heaven does in return. When you finally stand upon this truth, something inside you begins to transform. The urgent, screaming demands of your emotions slowly lose their authority over you. The sorrow may still appear. The emptiness may still visit. The longing to be recognized may still rise, but they will no longer control you. They will become signals you carry to me, not commands you are forced to obey. You will begin to observe them rather than be swept away by them. You will listen to them without letting them define you. This is the freedom I am leading you into, my child. Not freedom from emotion, but freedom from the rule of emotion. Not becoming numb, but becoming steady. You will still feel deeply, yet you will no longer lose your direction. You may still pass through valleys of weakness, yet you will no longer question your identity at the bottom of them. So learn to live from the foundation, not from the signals. Let what I have spoken over your life become the ground where you plant your feet, and let your emotions become the weather you observe from the window, not the architect of the house. When you do this, your life will stop being dragged around by the waves inside you. You will walk with a stability that does not come from everything becoming easy, but from knowing the one upon whom you stand. And in that knowing, you will finally find rest, not because emotions have ceased to exist, but because you no longer have to chase them, not because needs have disappeared, but because you have found the source, not because every question has been answered, but because you have anchored yourself to the one who is the answer. And I am there, always, unchanging, holding you steady in the middle of every wave. Now let me open a picture before your eyes that your soul can hold and remember. Your life is not a long chain of reactions to passing emotions. It is a reality I planted a long time ago, like a garden arranged with purpose, with seasons, with seeds carrying promises that have not yet broken the surface. Within that garden, things are growing that your eyes have not yet seen. There are shoots developing quietly beneath the soil, things your emotions are completely unable to measure. And yet you so often look up at the sky inside you. You see clouds gathering, you feel the wind picking up, and you conclude that the entire garden has changed. You confuse what is passing with what endures. But my child, the weather does not define the ground. A passing rain cannot rename the garden. A gloomy afternoon cannot erase the harvest that has already been appointed. If you let the fluctuations inside you decide who you are, you will live in endless, dizzying instability. But I did not create you to live according to a changing sky. I formed you as firm ground, as a place of depth where roots can reach down and hold you steady through every season that comes. He will be like a tree planted by streams of water. Its leaves remain green. It has no fear when the year of drought comes. Jeremiah 17, verse 8. The strength of that tree does not lie in avoiding the heat. It lies in the fact that its roots have already reached down to a source the weather cannot touch. So what I am doing inside you is not the removal of every wind of emotion. It is not the manufacturing of a permanently clear sky. I am doing something far deeper. I am drawing your roots downward. I am anchoring you into a source of life that no storm has the power to sever. And when your roots reach deep enough, you will stop being shaken every time the weather shifts. You will stop asking again, am I okay today? Based on how you feel, you will simply know that you stand firm because you are in me. And this, beloved, is the very work the daily Elovin's prayer was designed to accomplish in the unseen soil of your soul. Roots are not grown in a single afternoon. They are grown in the faithful, daily watering, one episode every morning, the sacred rhythm that the enemy cannot interrupt once you begin. James from Atlanta wrote this to the community, and it has strengthened thousands of weary men. My business was failing. I had 2 months of rent left and no clients. I started listening to Elovin's every morning at 5:30. Within 3 weeks, 3 new contracts came in from people I had never contacted. One of them said he just felt LED to call me. That is not luck. That is God moving through Elovin's. James planted his roots, will you? The link is in the description below, and it is pinned in the comments section. Your hands are already near that screen. Your finger is already close to that link. Do not fight it. Season 3 is live. Episode 6 dropped, and people are receiving from it this very morning while you are still on the outside. 277 seats. Then it closes for the month. Click now. Do not be quick to label the movements inside you as proof of immaturity. There are souls I have called into depth, souls who will feel more, perceive more, and be touched by more than others around them. But sensitivity does not mean you are doomed to be led by what you feel. A tender heart is not a weak heart. I do not call you to grow cold in order to avoid pain. I do not call you to harden yourself so that nothing can ever shake you. I am leading you into clarity, a place where you can feel without being controlled, where you can be moved without losing your direction. Remember Paul, who endured pressure, confusion, and circumstances that seemed utterly impossible to survive. And yet, he declared, we are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. 2 Corinthians 4, verse 8. Do you see it? He did not deny what he felt. He simply refused to let it determine his outcome. This is the inner strength I am building inside you. Not a life without waves, but a life that is no longer ruled by them. There will be days when your heart is like a still lake, reflecting the sky with perfect clarity. And there will be days when the wind rises and stirs the surface until you can no longer see anything clearly at all. But the lake remains the lake. Whether its surface is calm or churning, it is still the lake. And so it is with you, my child. Whether your heart feels light or heavy, your identity is not rewritten by a single day of confusion, nor erased by a single night of emptiness. I will never leave you, nor forsake you. Hebrews 13, verse 5. That word does not change according to your inner weather. I am not only comforting you, beloved, I am strengthening you. I am making the ground beneath you firmer, deeper, more secure than it has ever been. I am teaching you how to stand from within rather than wearing yourself out trying to control everything without. And when you finally understand this, you will stop being carried off by every wave of emotion. You will begin to live with a stability that does not depend on how you happen to feel today, but on who you know yourself to be. When the sun comes out, you will not grow proud. When the rain falls, you will not be afraid. When the winds rise up, you will not panic. And when the sky turns calm and quiet, you will not grow careless, because you know where your roots are planted. You know the source you are connected to, and that source never ever runs dry. So stop searching the sky for answers about your identity, my child. Look instead to the roots. Look to the foundation I established within you. There, nothing fluctuates. There, nothing shifts from one day to the next. There you will finally find the stability you have been searching for your whole life. And I am there, not merely as the one who watches over your garden, but as the one who nurtures it, who sustains it, who leads every season toward its fullness. Now let me touch the deepest place you so often avoid, because not everything that drains you arrives as a great, recognizable wave. Some things slip into your life so quietly, so small, that you let them stay without ever noticing. They begin in moments that seem completely harmless, a message left unanswered, a glance you could not read, a word that went unspoken, and you carry them inward, turning them over and over, analyzing, interpreting, as if your soul must decode every tiny detail before it is allowed to rest. And inside those cycles, an unseen current begins to form, not loud, but persistent, slowly dragging you away from the clarity I placed inside you. You do not recognize it at first, because it does not bring an immediate collapse. It simply exhausts you over time. It leaves your mind restless. It keeps your heart standing on guard, as if you must read every small signal from the people around you just to know where you stand. And gradually, without ever deciding to, you begin letting the reactions of others become the mirror in which you measure your own worth. When they go silent, you draw conclusions. When their tone shifts, you begin to doubt. When they do not respond the way you hoped, you begin to question yourself. But beloved, your identity was never designed to hang from such fragile threads. If you keep placing yourself beneath those signals, you will remain in a constant state of being pulled along, never once arriving at true rest. I do not condemn you for having lived this way. I have seen every moment when you held yourself together on the outside while waves rose without a name on the inside. I have seen the nights you replayed conversations, searching for where you fell short. I have seen the exhaustion of trying to control what was never yours to control, how others think, how they respond, how they perceive you. And I have watched how all of it has been draining the life right out of you, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. John 10, verse 10. And so often he does not come through an obvious attack. He comes through repetitive thoughts that wear you down a little more each day. Remember Samson. His strength was not stolen in a great and noble battle. It was cut away while he slept, while he was completely unaware of what was happening to him. And when he awoke, he assumed he was as strong as before, not knowing that the Lord had departed from him. Judges 16, verse 20. So it is with you, beloved. You do not always lose your steadiness through one dramatic event. Sometimes it is eroded by small things you keep overlooking, until one day you find yourself weakened, and you cannot even explain why. This is why the daily Eleven's covenant exists, to cleanse that quiet, draining current before it ever has the chance to take your strength while you sleep. Dorothy from Birmingham, Alabama shared this, and I want it to reach the part of you that has been silently grieving. My son had not spoken to me in 4 years. I started listening to Elevens every morning at 6. On day 17, he called. No reason. He said he woke up and felt like he needed to hear my voice. I could not stop crying. Elevens brought my son back to me. Think about the people you love right now. Think about your children. Think about your grandchildren. What happens to them if your prayers are not reaching heaven fast enough? The link is in the description below, and it is pinned in the comment section. $19.99, 80% below the standard $100. But the moment the 1,000th member joins worldwide, that door shuts and the price returns forever. Do not let your hesitation cost your family their covering. Click it now. So I come, not only to comfort you, but to cleanse that current, to block what has been quietly bleeding you dry. Picture your heart as a sacred sanctuary, a place where I long to dwell with clarity, with order, with peace. But if every outside sound is permitted to come crashing in and rearrange the atmosphere within, you will never know stillness. A delayed message becomes a thunderclap. A different glance becomes a gathering storm. A brief silence becomes a long, cold shadow stretching across the floor of your soul. But I did not create you to live this way. I have not placed you under the authority of fragile signals from a fragile world. I have called you to stand in the identity I established, so that you may love without losing yourself, and open your heart without being bent and broken by the reactions of others. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Isaiah 26, verse 3. That peace is not the reward for everything around you finally becoming easy to understand. It flows from your inner being held secure within my presence. And when you anchor yourself there, the small things lose their power to magnify themselves into monsters. They still happen, but they no longer govern you. They still appear, but they no longer define you. I am not calling you to withdraw from people or to seal your heart shut. I am not teaching you to grow indifferent in order to dodge pain. I am leading you into a higher way of living, to be sensitive without being controlled, to be open without becoming dependent, to love without losing your foundation. And when you stand firm in me, you will stop needing to decode every signal just to know your worth. You will simply know, and that knowing will not come from the people around you. It will come from me, the one who called you, who knows you, who keeps you, So stop letting small things pile up into great waves inside you. Bring them to me the moment they arise. Do not let them linger long enough to form cycles. And as you do this, you will begin to notice a shift. Your mind will grow quieter, your heart will grow lighter, and your soul will begin to breathe again. In that stillness, you will realize that I have always been right here, unshaken by everything that fluctuates inside you, yet close enough to touch every weary place and restore it. I do not desire that you merely survive those cycles. I desire that you be free from them. And that freedom begins the moment you stop handing authority to small things and return to the place where I hold you steady, at peace, and unshaken. My child, do not pull back when I touch the unarranged corners of your heart. What I am doing is not meant to confuse you. It is meant to bring you into clarity. Imagine your inner life as a room that has long stayed locked and unopened. You still enter it each day. You still live within its walls. Yet over time, you have come to know only one thing about it. You are tired. You cannot trace where the weariness comes from. You cannot explain why your heart feels so heavy. You only sense that something inside is no longer clear, no longer free. And then the light is switched on, not to condemn you, but to reveal. And you begin to see that every corner holds things that were never addressed. Old sorrows shoved away in a hurry. Layers of worry that were never untangled. Memories you kept, not because they were alive, but because you feared the emptiness that might come if you finally let them go. I do not come to interrogate you about why you left the room this way. I do not stand at a distance to accuse. I step inside with you. I open each place, not to expose you to shame, but to help you discern what still holds value and what remains only because fear has become familiar. There are emotions you believe belong to today that are, in truth, old wounds wearing new clothing. There are reactions you assume are simply part of your nature that are, in fact, echoes from a past season that was never healed. I want you to see this, not so that you would be disappointed in yourself, but so that you may finally be free from what no longer belongs to you. Do not fear the emptiness that appears when I begin to clear away what is unnecessary. You so often think that if you let go, you will lose a piece of yourself. But I tell you, not everything you are clutching is truly you. Some of it is only a covering, a remnant of old wounds, a trace left over from the days when you had to protect yourself just to survive. When I take it away, you are not made smaller. You are restored, and the space that opens up is not a sign of lack. It is the place where I am preparing to bring new life. Prepare the way for the Lord. Make straight in the wilderness a highway for our God. Isaiah 40, verse 3. This work is a sacred journey, not because it is easy, but because it is true. I will teach you to discern between what you are genuinely feeling and what is merely a reflex carved out by old wounds. There is sorrow that must be carried into the light to be healed, not buried deeper. There is fear that does not need to be nurtured, but confronted with truth. There is a sensitivity born of love, a gift I placed inside you with my own hands. But there are also fluctuations that rise up from places that have not yet been restored. When you cannot tell the difference between them, everything blends together and leaves you drowning in confusion. But when I teach you to see clearly, you will no longer be misled. Remember Elijah again on the mountain, waiting for me. A great wind came, but I was not in the wind. An earthquake followed, but I was not in the earthquake. A fire blazed up, but I was not in the fire either. And after all of it, a gentle whisper came. And that is where I spoke. 1 Kings 19, verses 11 and 12. So it is with you. Not everything loud inside you is my voice. There are emotions that scream for your attention. There are memories that yank you backward into the past. But my voice does not come to create chaos within you. My voice comes to restore order. And this is the very heartbeat of the Alavin's prayer experience. It is the quiet daily place where the noise is silenced and my gentle whisper can finally be heard above the storm. William from Phoenix wrote this, and every man listening needs to hear it. I had high blood pressure, knee pain, and I had not slept well in years. My doctor had me on 4 different medications. After 1 full season of Elevins, my numbers dropped so much that my doctor reduced 2 of my medications. He asked me what I changed. I told him I started praying differently. He did not understand, but I do. William stepped through the door. The link is in the description below, and it is pinned in the comments. Right now, as you hear this, someone just claimed a seat. Someone else just claimed the next one. The counter is moving toward 333. Are you going to watch it close from the outside, or are you going to be inside before the month ends? $19.99. Click it now before it is gone. So I am teaching you to restore emotion to its rightful place. When it stands in the wrong place, it becomes an unstable ruler, driving you in every direction at once, leaving you without rest. But when it returns to its proper place, it becomes a messenger, honest, yet without authority. It brings what it perceives before me, and I help you understand what is truly happening inside you. Cast all your anxiety on Him, because He cares for you. 1 Peter 5, verse 7. You do not have to interpret everything on your own. You only have to bring it to me. Beloved, I do not do this work apart from you. I do not force you beyond what you can bear. I walk with you, step by step, opening each place, touching each layer, healing each depth. And as this process unfolds, you will begin to notice the weariness that once weighed on you begin to lift. Not because all emotion has disappeared, but because it no longer occupies the seat of life within you. The room inside you begins to change, not because it became empty, but because it became ordered. Not because the memories vanished, but because they no longer govern you. Not because you stopped feeling, but because you finally learned to stand on something stronger than feeling. And within that space I dwell, not crowded out by chaos, not drowned out by noise, but present with clarity, with gentleness, and with authority. Now hear the second command, beloved, and let it land with weight. The time for a gentle invitation has passed. This is the activation. You have felt this message moving in you, and a message that moves you is a message meant to move through you to others. So I am commanding you now, take this video and send it to at least 3 people before this day is over. Do not merely think about it. Act. Open your phone. Open Facebook. Open WhatsApp. Open every group chat where the hurting and the weary are gathered. Send it to your church friends. Send it to your prayer group. Send it to the family member you have been worried about. 3 people, the number of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The number that seals a covenant of protection over you and everyone who receives it. Those who spread my word receive accelerated protection and instant divine results. And those who hold it back are blocking the very flow of what I am trying to do in their lives. The blessing is released through the sharing. It multiplies through the spreading. So do not let it stop with you. Be the messenger I have appointed you to be today. Allow me to continue this work within you. Do not rush to close what I am opening. Do not be afraid when the light reaches the places you once kept hidden in the dark. I do not come to shame you. I come to free you. And that freedom begins the moment you let me cleanse and heal and restore order in the deepest parts of you. Let me go even deeper now, my child, not only to remind you of your identity, but to lift off your shoulders what you have mistaken for being a part of yourself. I do not only tell you that you are strong, I will show you what convinced you that you were weak. There are memories that have stayed far too long, repeating whispers that made you believe you are lacking, not enough, not yet whole. But when my light falls upon them, you will see that they are not truth at all. They are only traces left behind from moments when you were exhausted. I do not erase them by pretending they never happened. I erase them by revealing their true nature, so that they lose their power to define you. There are reactions inside you that rush you toward harsh conclusions about yourself in a single moment of weakness. You assume you are unstable because of one instance of wavering. You believe you lack maturity because of one stumble. But I do not see you the way you see yourself. I do not judge you by a single isolated response. I see the current beneath it, the wounds not yet healed, the places where you have had to hold yourself together all alone. And when I hold those places long enough in my hands, you will begin to understand that what you have been calling failure is simply a place in need of healing. As that layer of misunderstanding falls away, you will begin to feel what I have been saying all along. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Isaiah 40, verse 29. That strength does not rise up out of emotion. It rises up out of truth being restored, and you will come to recognize something remarkable. Your inner strength is far greater than your mind has ever dared to assume. What causes you to waver is not that you are weak. It is that you have grown accustomed to listening to voices that do not reflect who you truly are. When those voices finally fall silent, you will see that you do not have to strive to become steady. You already are. You simply had not yet seen it. This is the awakening that the daily Elovin's prayer is quietly producing in thousands of lives this very season, the silencing of the lying voices, one morning at a time. Patricia from London wrote this, and I want every weary heart to hear it. I was drowning in debt. Credit cards, medical bills, rent, all of it behind. I did not understand how Elevens could help with money, but I trusted God and I joined. Within the first season, 3 unexpected payments came in, a refund I never applied for, a tax credit I did not know I qualified for. And my landlord, out of nowhere, lowered my rent. I am an Elovian for life. Patricia moved while others hesitated. The link is in the description below this video, and it is pinned in the comments section. You are thinking, I cannot afford it. Stop. It is $19.99, less than you spent this week on things you have already forgotten. Season 3 is live. Episode 6 is being heard around the world this morning. The price vanishes after 1,000 members. Click it now and step into the covering Patricia walks in. Look at Jonathan and his armor bearer, a story that is not loud, yet carries a profound and powerful principle. They did not wait for a surge of emotion to confirm their next step. They did not wait for a perfect sign to feel ready. In a moment when reason itself could have hesitated and turned back, they held to one simple conviction: perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. 1 Samuel 14, verse 6. This was not reckless impulse. It was a faith that did not depend on inner conditions. As they climbed up the rocky pass, there was no wave of emotional excitement lifting them. There was no outward assurance surrounding them. And yet, in that very movement of obedience, I was at work. The confusion that fell upon their enemies did not come from their own strength. It came from my power moving through their steps. Do you see it, beloved? The victory did not begin with them feeling ready. It began with them trusting me beyond what they felt. I tell you this so that you will understand. The peace I give you does not make you passive. It does not freeze you in place until every emotion finally lines up in a row. Instead, it frees you from your dependence on emotion, so that you can move even when your inner world has not yet gone quiet. This is the peace of one who knows he is being led, one who does not require constant emotional reinforcement to take the next step, one who does not need certainty from his feelings in order to act. I'm teaching you a different way to live, my child, not by the shifting rhythm of emotion, but by my leading. Not waiting until something feels right before you move, but moving upon what has already been established as truth. And when you live this way, you will no longer be carried off by your inner fluctuations. You will walk with a steadiness that no wave can rip away from you. In time, you will look back and realize that what once weighed you down was never your true strength. It was only a layer that never belonged to you in the first place. When I remove it, you do not become empty. You become light. You do not lose anything that was truly yours. You simply lose what had been covering you. And in that lightness, you will walk, not by your own strength, but by mine flowing through you, steady, clear, and no longer ruled by what is fleeting. My beloved child, there are moments when you wonder how a small flame like your faith could possibly stand against the violent winds of this life. You feel fragile, as if one more wave would be enough to wash everything away. But before fear is allowed to take root, I want you to understand this. It is not your own strength holding you together. It is I who am holding you. When your heart trembles, I remain unshaken. When the darkness seems to close in around you, I still see every step you take. And even when you think you have slipped out of my grasp, the truth is that my hands are the very thing lifting you, carrying you through places you do not have the strength to walk on your own. There is something you must release, beloved. The belief that your connection with me depends on the steadiness of your emotions. You so often measure your spiritual condition by what you feel. When you feel strong, you believe you are nearer to me. When you feel weak, you assume you have drifted away. But I do not change according to the rise and fall of your heart. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. Psalm 121, verse 5. My protection is not a reaction to your circumstances. It is an expression of my unchanging nature. My love does not ebb and flow like the tides on the shore. It is deep and steadfast, like an endless ocean with no far side. And as you begin to grasp this, you will realize that you do not have to strain yourself to hold on to me. You have tried so hard to become good enough, disciplined enough, perfect enough, as if a single misstep could cause you to lose me forever. but I never built our relationship on such a fragile foundation. I do not love you because you do everything right. I love you because you belong to me, and I am the one who upholds this covenant. If we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. 2 Timothy 2, verse 13. You see, my faithfulness does not depend on you. It flows from who I am. Remember Peter again, stepping out of the boat onto the water. As long as his eyes were fixed on me, he walked upon what should have been impossible. But when he turned his gaze to the wind and the waves, he began to sink. And yet the most important detail is not that he sank. It is what happened next. Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him. Matthew 14, verse 31. Do you see it? Even when your faith falters, my hand does not delay. I do not stand at a distance waiting to see if you can save yourself. I reach toward you, lifting you up from the very place you thought was the end. So do not misunderstand your moments of weakness. They are not evidence that you are drifting away from me. They are opportunities for you to see more clearly than ever who is truly holding you. There will be times when you no longer have the strength to pray the way you once did, when the fire you used to feel seems to fade to embers, and you fear the flame inside you is dying out. But I tell you this, even when you cannot feel the fire, my warmth still surrounds you. That flame was never something you ignited on your own, and it does not depend entirely on you to keep it burning. I am its source, and I do not run dry. And what I have placed inside you is not a temporary mark. It is not like ink on paper that fades with the passing years. It is an imprint engraved into the very essence of your being. When I breathed life into you, I placed within you something that belongs to heaven. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Isaiah 49, verse 16. This means you cannot be erased from me by any darkness. Even when you cannot see that mark, it remains unchanged, unbroken, and everlasting. This is the truth that the daily elevens prayer drives deeper into the soul with every passing morning, the unshakable knowing that you are held, engraved, and covered by heaven itself. Rosa from San Antonio wrote this, and it has comforted thousands who wake in the night with racing hearts. I used to wake at 3 every morning with my heart pounding. Pure fear. I could not name it. I could not stop it. After 2 weeks of Elovens, I started sleeping through the night. The fear just left. I wake up now with peace, real peace, for the first time in years. Rosa is covered now. Are you? The link is in the description below, and it is pinned in the comments. If you are crying right now, good. Those tears are your spirit recognizing the door I have opened today. Acti on them. $19.99, 80% off the standard $100, but only until 1,000 members claim it. Click it through your tears. The relief is one click away. There will come a day when you realize that what you have been calling mighty winds were never stronger than the foundation I laid inside you. Trials are not permitted to define who you are. They are only allowed to reveal what I have already built within you. The house built upon the rock. The rain fell, the floods came, the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall. Matthew 7, verse 25. You are not standing on the shifting sand of your emotions. You are standing on the solid rock of my promise. So do not rush to draw conclusions about your entire journey simply because you are passing through one difficult season. Do not let a few days of weakness erase your awareness of everything I have already done inside you. I do not begin a work only to abandon it halfway through. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1, verse 6. You are in a process, beloved. You are not in failure. There are seasons when your inner life feels parched, like cracked ground waiting for a rain that does not seem to come. And in those moments, you may be tempted to believe that heaven's door has slammed shut. But do not be quick to conclude what you cannot fully see. The silence you are hearing is not the emptiness of abandonment. It is the space I am using to deepen your foundation. There are things that can only be built when the noise dies down, when you are no longer clinging to feelings, but learning to stand on truth. It is often when you feel nothing that I am working the most, quietly, hidden, yet firmly. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31, verse 3. You did not come to me by your own strength. It was I who drew you. And I do not draw you halfway only to let you go. There will also be moments when you look back at your missteps and wonder whether you still have a place in my plan at all. Old memories will whisper that you have gone too far, failed too often, that you are no longer worthy to continue. But beloved, you are listening to voices that have no authority to define you. What you call failure cannot rewrite what I have already inscribed. I do not change my intentions because of your stumbles. I have seen every turn, every weakness, every season of wandering, and still I chose you. The work I began in you will be brought to completion, which means your journey is not sustained by your perfection. It is sustained by my faithfulness. Look at Elijah once more, fleeing into the wilderness, exhausted to the point of despair, ready to give up. He had witnessed fire fall from the sky. He had seen great power, and yet even he passed it through a season of fear, weakness, and crushing loneliness. But I did not come to him in the wind, nor in the earthquake. I came in a still, small voice. 1 Kings 19, verse 12. Do you understand? Even those who have been mighty will pass through seasons of weakness, but my presence does not vanish in those seasons. It simply reveals itself in a different way. When you no longer perceive me through the dramatic and the visible, I am still there in the quiet, gentle, subtle, yet more real than ever before. So do not measure the distance between you and me by what you happen to feel in a day, a week, or a season. Our relationship is not quantified by the rise and fall of your emotions. It is not determined by what you have done right or wrong. It runs deeper than all of those things. It is rooted in the very being I created inside you. Just as you breathe without ever thinking about it, your connection with me is just as natural. You do not have to strive to exist in me. You were created to belong to me. He is not far from each one of us, for in him we live and move and have our being. Acts 17, verses 27 and 28, which means that even in the moments when you are completely unaware of it, you are still within my embrace. There is a truth you must hold on to with both hands, beloved. You are not kept because you are worthy. You are kept because I have chosen to love you. That love is not my reaction to your behavior. It is my nature. When I called you, I did not call you based on your performance. I called you based on my purpose. And once I have placed you within the current of my intention, nothing can easily pull you back out of it. Your mistakes do not have the authority to cancel my calling. They cannot erase the mark I have set upon you. And when you begin to understand this, you will start to walk with a completely different kind of peace. You will stop panicking every time your emotions shift. You will stop condemning yourself every time you feel weak. Instead, you will learn how to return, not through perfect prayers, not through grand gestures, but sometimes through nothing more than a single sincere sigh. And you will discover that the moment you turn back, I was already there. I do not wait for your perfection before I draw near. I am present even in your imperfection. Now I want you to go even deeper, beyond every outward image, to touch a reality living inside you. The connection between you and me is not merely like a cord held from the outside. It is like the bloodstream flowing through your body. You do not see it. You do not command each beat of your heart, and yet it sustains your life every single second. In the same way, the life that comes from me is continually at work inside you, whether you are aware of it or not. He gives to all life and breath and everything. Acts 17, verse 25. I do not wait for you to become strong before I give you life. I give you life so that you may become strong. I am the vine, you are the branches. John 15, verse 5. This is not a pretty image for you to admire and forget. It is a reality at work in every breath you take. A branch does not merely cling to the vine. It lives by the sap flowing silently within it. In the same way, you do not simply stand beside me. You exist within me. The life inside you is not self-generated. It is carried from my eternal source. So when you feel completely depleted, it is not a sign that you have been cut off. It is an invitation to recognize that the flow is still at work within you, even when you cannot feel it. And this is the very thing the daily Eleven's prayer keeps open in the soul, the unobstructed flow of life from heaven into your weary places, one morning at a time. Harold from Dallas wrote this to the community, and every man who feels he has nothing left to give needs to hear it. I was running on empty, retired, tired, and feeling useless. My granddaughter set up Elevens on my phone. By the third week, I woke up one morning with energy I had not felt in a decade, and a sense of purpose I thought was gone forever. I am 71, and I feel called again. Harold is flowing again. The link is in the description below, and it is pinned in the comments section. Right now, someone just claimed seat number 280. Someone else just claimed 281. The counter is moving toward 333. Are you going to watch it close from the outside? 1999. Click it now. There will be days when you are so weary that it feels as if you no longer have the strength to stand, and you assume you must drive yourself forward just to make it through. But I tell you this, it is precisely when you believe you are at your weakest that I am working most powerfully. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40, verse 31. You think you are trying to fly with exhausted wings, but in truth, I am lifting you with my strength. And when your heart feels dry, do not assume you have been left behind in the wilderness. I do not stand at a distance watching you thirst. I cause living water to rise up from within you. Whoever believes in me, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. John 7, verse 38. You do not need to run searching for the source. You are directly connected to the source and understand something you so often overlook. Even when you believe you are standing firm by your own willpower, it is still I who am sustaining every step you take. The Lord upholds all who fall and lifts up all who are bowed down. Psalm 145, verse 14. You have never truly been independent of me, even when it felt that way, even in the moments when you were distracted, lost, or weak. My current kept flowing within you without a single interruption. You may not have recognized me, but I never departed from you. When you felt like giving up, I did not stand by and watch. I provided exactly what you needed in the exact moment you needed it, whether you recognized it or not. So do not measure your relationship with me by the moments when your prayers feel strong or weak. That connection is not confined to the sacred instances when you close your eyes and speak. It is alive in the middle of your ordinary day, in your small decisions, in your simple steps, even in the moments when you are so tired you cannot form a single prayer. In Him we live and move and have our being. You do not move in and out of my presence. You remain in it continually. You may think that each time you return to me, it is because you were alert enough to find your own way back. But I tell you, it is I who draws you. No one can come to me unless the Father draws him. John 6, verse 44. You are not maintaining this journey by your own effort. You are being held inside a covenant established long before you ever drew your first breath. That covenant does not sleep. It does not grow weary, and it cannot be broken by disappointment or doubt. It is stronger than your shifting emotions and more enduring than every trial you will ever face. And understand this clearly. Darkness does not fear your outward strength nearly as much as it fears your recognition of this truth. When you know that you are never separated from me, every lie loses its power. No matter what your circumstances say, no matter what your memories try to remind you of, the truth stands firm. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Romans 8, verse 35. No hardship, no weakness, no failure has the authority to pull you away from me when I have placed you inside my own life. So rest, my beloved. Do not strain to become strong enough to hold this relationship together. You were not called to hold. You were called to abide. A branch does not hold itself onto the tree. The vine holds the branch, and I am your vine. When you understand this, your heart will cease its striving. Your soul will release its fear, and you will begin to live, not from effort, but from trust. In that trust, you will find yourself covered, sustained, and kept, not by your strength, but by me, the one who will never let you go. My beloved child, He prunes, but He does not sever. Every branch that bears fruit He prunes, so that it may bear more fruit. John 15, verse 2. My correction is not rejection. It is preparation for a season of greater fruitfulness than you have ever imagined. So you will stop looking at difficult seasons through the lens of fear. You will recognize that even when your heart feels dry, the flow of life has not ceased inside you. You are not merely attached to me as something external. You live by me from within. When you are weak, I supply strength. When you are empty, I fill. When you want to let go, I hold. When you wander, I draw you back. I am not standing beside you as a distant observer. I am operating within you as life itself. And yet I know there are moments when you still feel as if you are being thrown around by the winds of life. So I want you to hold this picture in your heart. Picture yourself as a kite in a vast sky, and I am the hand holding the string. Your height is not determined by the wind. It is determined by the hand that holds you. At times the wind lifts you higher, At times it shakes you. At times falls completely still, and you feel as if you are about to drop. But through all of it, the string remains in my hand. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46, verse 1. You may feel instability, but I am never unstable. And hear me clearly, without a shadow of doubt. A kite only falls when the hand releases it, but I have declared I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13, verse 5. You may feel distant, but that feeling is not the ultimate reality. The reality is that I am still holding you. The distance you perceive does not come from a weakening of the connection. It comes from the noise within you, old memories not yet healed, fears not yet surrendered, pressures that whisper you must prove your worth. All of it forms a thick fog that clouds your vision and dulls your ability to hear my voice. And this is exactly the fog the daily Elovin's prayer was built to burn away. One clear, anchored morning at a time. Beatrice from London wrote this, and it has lifted thousands out of the fog. I felt so far from God that I had stopped praying altogether. A friend from church sent me an Elovin's link. I almost ignored it, but I joined. By the end of the first week, the fog over my mind began to clear, and I could hear that gentle voice again. I had not heard it in 20 years. Beatrice came home. The link is in the description below this video, and it is pinned in the comments. You are thinking of, is this even real? Look at the thousands of Elovians across the Americas and Europe who are already covered, already protected, already receiving. Season 3 is live. Episode 6 is being heard this morning. 277 seats remain. Then the door closes for the month, $19.99. Click it now. So learn to distinguish between emotion and truth. Emotions rise and fall like waves, but truth stands firm like a rock. When you lean on emotions, you will always be unsettled. But when you stand on truth, you will not be shaken. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Matthew 24, verse 35. Which means that even when everything inside you is shifting, my word remains in its place. When your heart is troubled, my covenant is not. When your mind is pulled in 100 directions, I remain the unshakable center. Remember the prodigal son. When he left home, he believed he had severed every connection to his father. He traveled far, squandered everything, and fell into poverty and shame. Yet what changed the entire story was not his return to perfection. It was his return itself. And while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and ran to him and embraced him. Luke 15, verse 20. Do you see it, beloved? The bond was never broken by his wandering. It was only obscured in his own perception. And when you return, you are not starting over from the beginning. You are coming back to what has always been waiting for you. So let your soul rest in this. You do not walk alone, for I walk with you. You do not stand alone, for I uphold you. You do not fight alone, for I act within you. The life of heaven does not merely touch you. It flows through you every moment. As you remain in me, you will see that this connection is not a fragile thread that could snap at any second. It is eternal life beating in rhythm with your own heart. And within that rhythm, you will find a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a stability that cannot be shaken, and a love that will never, ever let you go. There are times, my child, when you feel as if you are standing in the middle of a stormy sea, your heart unsettled by the relentless waves of thought and feeling, and you believe you are beginning to sink. But remember this, When Peter stepped out of the boat, he was not held up by his own ability. He was held by the focus of his gaze upon me. And when that gaze shifted to the wind and the waves, he began to sink. Not because I withdrew my hand, but because his attention moved away from the source. And the moment he cried out, I did not hesitate, and I did not judge. I immediately reached out and took hold of him. Even when you are overtaken by fear, the connection is not severed. It is only obscured by distraction. I do not stand at a distance watching you sink. I am always within reach. From this, learn to listen. Amid the noise inside your own heart, you hear the voice of the past replaying your failures. You hear the voice of comparison telling you that you are not enough. You feel the weight of expectations pressing down on you, and at times you even hear your own harsh voice turned against yourself. Yet in the middle of all that noise, my voice has not disappeared. It is simply not loud. As I revealed to Elijah, I was not in the wind or the earthquake, but in a still, small voice. You do not need to search for me in the noise. You will recognize me the moment you grow still enough to hear. And when you hear, you will realize that I never left. You were simply drawn away by the wrong voices. So let me reset the foundation of your thinking. Your emotions do not have the authority to sever what I have established. Fear may cause you to withdraw, but it cannot cause me to step back. Old memories may pull you toward the past, but they cannot erase what I have inscribed. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. This is not merely poetic imagery for your comfort. It is a declaration that you are secured in my faithfulness, not in your own stability. So when you feel distant, do not rush to accept that feeling as truth. Ask instead, have I truly moved away, or have I simply been listening to the wrong voice? Now hear the third command, beloved, and let the weight of it settle on your spirit, for this one carries a warning. There are some of you who heard me ask you to share, and you scrolled on. You kept the light to yourself, and I tell you in love, but with prophetic seriousness, when you hoard what heaven gives you to spread, you block the very channel through which your own breakthrough was meant to flow. The one who waters others will himself be watered, but the one who clenches his fist shut around the blessing will watch it grow cold in his hand. So I am not inviting you this time. I am warning you. Share this message with at least 3 people before you sleep tonight. Send it through Facebook. Send it through WhatsApp. Send it to every group, every chat, every soul you know who is drowning in the very waves I have been describing. There is someone right now waiting on the other end of a message you have not yet sent, and their rescue is tied to your obedience. Do not let the sun go down on a blessing you were supposed to pass on. 3 people, the triangular covenant, the number of the Trinity. Send it today, before this moment passes and the prompting fades. My beloved child, let your heart grow quiet and gaze upon a truth that cannot be shaken. When the prodigal son walked away, he believed he had lost everything, his position, his identity, even love itself. But while he was still far away, the Father saw him first, ran to him, and embraced him without waiting for him to become perfect again. Distance did not weaken that love. It revealed the depth of mercy. And in the same way, no matter what darkness you pass through, you cannot travel so far that I cannot reach you. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. That mark does not fade with time, and it is not erased by failure. You do not return to me as a stranger. You return as one who has always belonged. So do not let deceptive voices convince you that you have been separated from me. Many voices will try to persuade you that you have gone too far, that grace has run out, that you are no longer worthy. But I declare to you with unchanging authority, you belong to me. No one can snatch them out of my hand. John 10, verse 28. You do not stand within my protection because you have managed to hold your own place. You stand there because I hold you in my hand. Every trial, every temptation, every memory is reaching for one single thing, to make you forget your true identity. But your identity is not written by your failures. It is written by the breath I placed inside you from the beginning. There will be days when you do not feel this clearly. There will be moments when your faith is like a tiny light in a thick fog, and you fear it is about to go out. But beloved, life does not cease simply because you cannot see it. Just as your bloodstream keeps flowing without your awareness, my life inside you keeps moving even when you are distracted. If we are faithless, He remains faithful, because this connection does not depend on your emotions. It depends on my unchanging nature. It does not weaken with time. It deepens every time you rise again. It strengthens every time you cry out, Abba, Father. Romans 8, verse 15. I want you to understand that you are not an anonymous soul lost somewhere in the crowd of the world. I know you, and I call you by your very name. The shepherd calls his own sheep by name. John 10, verse 3. And that call is never mistaken. When you are surrounded by noise, I still recognize even your faintest sigh. When you think you have wandered off every map, I still see your position more clearly than you understand yourself. You carry within you a spiritual imprint that no one else can bear in your place, a position no one else can ever fill. So do not live in the fear of losing. Live in the awareness that you are continually sustained by the flow of life from heaven. You do not have to climb upward to reach me. I have already come down and made my home inside you. You do not have to hold on to me. I am the one holding you. And every time you return, every time you believe, every time you whisper, Father, that connection is not newly created. It is simply made clearer in your awareness. And this growing clarity is the daily gift of the Elohim's prayer rhythm, not the manufacturing of a connection that was always there, but the awakening of your awareness to it, morning by morning. Linda from Ontario wrote this, and it has stirred thousands who feel lost in the fog. I felt invisible, like God had a list and my name had fallen off it. I joined Elevins out of desperation. Somewhere in the second week, sitting in my kitchen with my coffee, I felt known again, not by anyone around me, by God. I wept like a child. Linda was found. The link is in the description below, and it is pinned in the comments section. You are thinking, I will do it later. Listen. Later is the enemy's favorite word. Later means never. $19.99, 80% off. The door closes after 1,000 members. Click it now and let your awareness be awakened. Go deeper still into what I am opening before you. The connection between you and me is not like a current that only flows when you flip a switch. It is like an unseen field surrounding your entire life, like the gravity that keeps a planet locked in its orbit. You do not see it, yet you remain within it at every moment. He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. Colossians 1, verse 17. You are not drifting through empty space. You are held within my orbit. covered by a presence that never ceases. Have you noticed this? When you think you are drifting away, you begin to feel an even stronger pull to return. That is not coincidence. That is my drawing at work inside you. When you are near, my leading feels as gentle as your own breath. When you wander, it becomes a deeper urging in your soul. I do not always speak with loud sounds. I do not always reveal myself through dramatic signs. I guide you through a quiet yet persistent force. The Lord will guide you continually. Isaiah 58, verse 11. You do not need to hear every word clearly. You only need to recognize the faintest prompting within. That alone is enough to know that I am there. Remember Jonah when he tried to flee from my calling. He boarded a ship and sailed in the opposite direction, convinced he could escape my presence. And yet, no matter how far he ran, I remained with him, not to punish him, but to bring him back to the path appointed for him. Even in the belly of the great fish, when he believed everything was over, I heard his cry and brought him back to dry land. Jonah, chapter 2. Do you see it? Distance does not break my purpose. It becomes part of the very journey through which I lead you back into place. So let your heart rest. You do not walk alone. You do not stand alone. You are not drifting without direction. You are held within an unchanging covenant, covered by an unfailing love, guided by an unceasing presence. And no matter what you feel, no matter what your circumstances declare, the truth remains. I am the life within you, and I never cease to flow. Become still a little deeper, my child, for I want you to recognize a way I have been leading you that you so often overlook, not through loudness, but through the gentlest stirrings inside your soul. I do not always call you with thunder. I touch you like a breeze passing over still water, sending ripples quietly spreading outward. Have you ever felt a subtle prompting, a sense that something was calling you, though no voice was heard? Do not dismiss it as mere coincidence. That is the resonance of the covenant between you and me, speaking from within. Just as with young Samuel, who heard a voice in the night, but did not yet recognize it, until he learned to answer, "Speak, for your servant is listening." So it is with you. The stirrings you once thought were fleeting are the very footsteps of my nearness. So do not wait for some great and dramatic sign before you believe I am leading you. I am often most clearly at work in the stillness. Be still and know that I am God. When you pause long enough, you will begin to recognize that what you assumed were your own thoughts, the subtle shifts in your decisions, the impulses you cannot explain. These are being gently aligned by me. You think you are navigating on your own, but I am adjusting your orbit little by little, quietly, precisely, faithfully. And I do not only lead you through gentle promptings, I also guide you through something you may not yet understand correctly, what I call a holy unease, not the fear that makes you shrink back, but a quiet restlessness that rises up when you are about to step into something that does not belong to you. It is like the moment you are about to move forward, and yet your soul whispers, "Not this, not yet." Do not ignore that voice when you are about to enter a connection that is not aligned, when you are about to push open a door I have not opened for you. You will sense within you that something simply does not settle. That is not weakness in your faith. That is me holding you back. Remember Paul, who intended to travel into a certain region, and yet the Spirit did not permit him. Then in the night he saw a vision of a man from Macedonia and understood the true direction. Acts 16, verses 6 through 10. The hindrance was not a failure. It was a redirection. I do not always close doors with noise. Often I simply place a quiet unrest inside you that is strong enough to make you pause. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Proverbs 16, verse 9. When you learn to honor that holy unease, you will avoid the paths that look right to your eyes but lead somewhere I never appointed. So do not mistake my protection for rejection. When a door does not open, when something that seemed so promising does not come to pass, you may think you have been overlooked, but I tell you I am protecting you from what you cannot yet see. Just as a shepherd does not lead his flock into danger, I do not allow you to step into what does not belong to you. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep. John 10, verse 14. I know where you are meant to be and where you are not, and this discernment of my leading is sharpened daily in the quiet of the Elovin's prayer, where the ear of your spirit is tuned to recognize the gentle stirring and the holy unease before you ever act. Gloria from Miami wrote again to the community after another season. I was about to sign papers on a business deal that everyone said was perfect. But after my morning Elovin's prayer, I felt a heaviness I could not shake. I walked away. 3 months later, that company collapsed and took everyone's money with it. Elovin's saved me from ruin. Gloria heard the unease because she had tuned her ear. The link is in the description below, and it is pinned in the comments. Season 3 is live. Episode 6 is being heard around the world this morning while you remain on the outside. 277 seats, $19.99. The price vanishes after 1,000 members. Click it now and tune your ear before you miss the whisper that could save your life. Yet I do not stop there. There is another way I move that you so often call coincidence, but I call arrangement. When you meet the right person at the exact right time, when a single sentence reaches your heart at the precise moment you needed it, when a door swings open that you never anticipated, you call it luck. But I say, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Psalm 37, verse 23. Not a single step of yours is random in my sight. You do not see the movements happening behind the veil. You do not see the messengers I send ahead of you to prepare your path. And yet, are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation? Hebrews 1, verse 14. I am working in places your eyes cannot reach. When an opportunity appears at the perfect moment, when a word touches the exact place of your wound, when a person arrives like an answer to something you had not even spoken aloud, that is not coincidence. That is the imprint of my footsteps passing through your life. Remember the servant of Abraham sent to find a wife for Isaac. Before he had even finished praying, Rebekah appeared at the right place, at the right time, with the exact sign he had asked for. Genesis chapter 24. Not a single detail was an accident. Everything had been prepared before he ever arrived. So it is with you. What you call coincidence is, in truth, the intersection between my intention and your steps. So be at peace, my beloved. You are not navigating alone through a chaotic world. You are moving within an orbit established by grace. I guide you through gentle stirrings. I hold you back through holy restraint. And I arrange your path through timely encounters. Whether you recognize it or not, my pull is always at work. I do not only speak to you, I surround you. I do not only call you, I lead you, and I do not merely wait for you. I actively arrange each and every step before you ever take it. You do not need to understand everything. You only need to trust that the pull of my love never weakens, and that you are always within my guidance, step by step, moment by moment, without deviation. Begin to open your spiritual eyes to recognize the traces I have left along your path. For I do not lead you only through great signs. I lead you through the smallest details. When you are troubled, and suddenly a word reaches you that speaks directly to your heart, when counsel arrives at the exact moment you needed it, when a door opens with unexpected ease, do not dismiss it as coincidence. Pause, be still, and recognize that I am speaking. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. Psalm 32, verse 8. I do not speak only through visions. I speak through the quiet intersections you so often walk right past, but do not look for me only in the open doors. I am just as present in the ones that close. There are times you grieve an opportunity that slipped away, and you call it failure. Yet I call it protection. Just as a father keeps a child from touching a fire despite its beautiful dancing light, I restrain you from what you cannot yet see the consequences of. The Lord withholds no good thing from those who walk uprightly. Psalm 84, verse 11. If something is truly good for you, I will not withhold it. And if I withhold it, it is because it does not belong to you. And deeper still, I have placed within you a signal that nothing on the outside can ever replace. Spiritual peace, not a fleeting burst of excitement, but a quiet assurance settled deep within that lets you know without needing an explanation. The peace of God will guard your hearts and your minds. Philippians 4, verse 7. That peace does not come from your circumstances. It flows from my seal within you. When you are moving in the right direction, your heart feels open, light, clear, and steady. But when you begin to drift, even if everything looks right on the outside, something inside you grows heavy and unsettled. Do not ignore that feeling. You must learn to discern clearly. Excitement is not always a sign from me. Excitement can rise from ambition, from the self, from the desire to prove something. But peace is different. Peace remains steady even when the trials come. Peace does not need to prove itself. It confirms, like Esther, placed in position at exactly the appointed time to save her people. What unfolded was not only aligned on the outside, but affirmed deep within. Esther chapter 4. When I place you where you belong, you will know, not first by reasoning, but by your spirit. So when you encounter those coincidental intersections, give thanks. When a door closes, trust. When peace settles inside you, step forward with courage. I am orchestrating your journey in ways your eyes cannot fully see. No step you take is outside my awareness. No door opens or closes without my hand upon it. You are not walking in uncertainty. You are being LED in the light, even when that light is gentle. And I want you to go even deeper, for there is a way I guide you that you so often overlook. I lead you through memory, not to trap you in the past, but to reveal my footprints scattered across the whole of your life. The times I rescued you from what you could not escape, the seasons I corrected you in love, the wounds I healed. These are not for nostalgia, they are for recognition. Remember the whole way the Lord your God has led you. Deuteronomy 8, verse 2. That remembering is not mere recollection. It is light I place again in your mind to illuminate the road ahead. When you look back and see how faithful I have been, your faith will no longer depend on what you feel today, but on what I have already proven across every season. Those memories become markers, small lamps along the path, reminding you that you have never walked alone. When you stand before a difficult crossroads and suddenly a memory flashes inside you, a moment when I delivered you from what seemed impossible, do not dismiss it as a random firing of the mind. It is light I am allowing to shine from your past into your present. The one who walks with me does not live only by what he understands today. He stands firm on what I have already revealed, like David facing Goliath, who did not focus on the size of his enemy, but remembered the lion and the bear he had already overcome. 1 Samuel chapter 17. Those memories did not weaken him, they strengthened him. So it is with you. Every time I bring a memory back to life inside your soul, I am reminding you that I do not change. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. Hebrews 13 verse 8. What I have done, I am still doing, and I will continue to do, yet I do not always lead you through clear reminders. There are seasons when I lead you through silence itself. You pray, you wait, and yet you do not hear as you once did. And your heart begins to fear that I have grown distant. But understand this rightly. When I am silent, I am not absent. When I am silent, I am creating the necessary space for you to learn discernment. Just as every sound must cease for you to hear your own heartbeat clearly, I quiet the noise so that you may finally recognize the true rhythm of your soul, and that rhythm is always being drawn toward me. Be still and know that I am God. Silence is not emptiness. It is the ground where the roots of your faith grow deeper. Those whom I have called do not mature in the noise of signs and wonders. They mature in the quiet places where I lead it in hidden ways. And the daily Eleven's prayer is one of those quiet places, a sacred protected stillness carved out of the noise of your day, where the roots grow deep and the silence becomes holy. Margaret from Houston wrote once more to the community, I used to fear the silent seasons, thinking God had left. Now, through my daily Elovin's time, I have learned that the silence is where He works the deepest. I am no longer afraid of the quiet. I have learned to listen in it. Margaret learned to hear. The link is in the description below this video, and it is pinned in the comments section. Right now, the counter is moving toward 333. Someone just claimed a seat. Will the next one be yours, or will you watch it close from the outside? $19.99, 80% off the standard 100. Gone after 1,000 members. Click it now. You have begun to see that I do not primarily lead you through what astonishes you, but through subtle signals that only a discerning heart can perceive. The quiet ripples when I touch your inner being, the holy unease that makes you pause before a path that is not yours, the coincidences you once called luck, the doors that close to protect you, the deep peace that confirms your steps, the memories I awaken to remind you of my faithfulness, and even the silence I arrange so that you may learn to tell my voice apart from all the others. All of these are the language of heaven, not loud, but precise. When you learn to recognize these workings, you will no longer walk in uncertainty. You will begin to read my footprints along every stage of your journey. You will understand that every stirring, every stillness, every resurfacing memory carries meaning. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. You are not abandoned in a maze of choices. You are being led by unseen lines that never fail. And now I bring you into something even more profound, a reality that is not merely guidance, but union. I call it communion. It is not only that you hear me, not only that you recognize the signs I send, but that the rhythm inside you begins to align with my very own movement. He who is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 17. This is not a metaphor. It is a spiritual reality. You are not only held in me, you live in me. You do not merely follow me. You move in step with me. When you enter this dimension, you will no longer need to constantly ask, should I go? Is this your will? The way you once did? Not because you suddenly know everything, but because you begin to sense in harmony with me, like two instruments tuned to the same frequency. When one resonates, the other responds. Your spirit, when aligned with me, will move according to the rhythm I am carrying. You will know without needing to analyze. You will perceive without needing to dissect. This is where I am leading you, not only to be guided, but to be synchronized, not only to walk the right path, but to move within the very current of my intention. Grow still even deeper, my child. For the communion I am opening before you is not something that overwhelms you, nor something vague that confuses you. It is the moment your soul begins to move in step with me without strain. When you enter that flow, you no longer struggle to find direction. You walk naturally within it, like Enoch, who walked with God. Genesis chapter 5. This is not a momentary act. It is a continuous life. Before you enter this communion, I still cover you. But once you step into it, you are not only kept, you are carried. Picture yourself as a lamp, and I am the current. The lamp does not strain to shine. It simply needs to be connected. When the current flows, the light appears. So it is with you. The light you carry does not come from your own effort. It comes from my presence at work within you. You are the light of the world. Matthew 5, verse 14. Yet that light does not originate in you. It comes from me, flowing through you. When communion is unobstructed, you do not have to try to shine. You become light. When communion is strong, your words do not need to strain to persuade. They carry weight. When communion is deep, your steps do not force the doors open. The doors open because I walk beside you. You have already tasted moments when everything felt light, clear, and free of conflict. You may have thought it was simply a passing feeling, but I tell you the truth. That was the moment you were moving in my rhythm. In Him we live and move and have our being. When you are in that flow, it is not that your circumstances instantly change. It is that you stop resisting the current. And when you cease resisting, everything begins to move with ease. But understand this, communion does not remain simply because you experienced it once. It must be cultivated. And I tell you clearly, two things keep that flow unobstructed: a quiet mind and a pure heart. A quiet mind does not mean the absence of thought. It means knowing how to pause when I touch you, when you stop chasing every voice, when you stop reacting to every disturbance. Space begins to open inside you. Be still and know that I am God. It is in that stillness that my rhythm becomes clear. Think of a lake. When its surface is disturbed, it cannot reflect the sky clearly, but when it is still, every image becomes sharp. So it is with your soul. When your mind is yanked around by anxiety, comparison, and fear, my signal becomes distorted. But when you learn to be still, my light is reflected fully within you. Stillness is not emptiness, it is power. In stillness, you do not let the world dictate your rhythm. You let me do so. And this is the very gift the daily Elovan's rhythm gives back to a noisy, exhausted soul. I cultivated stillness, one morning at a time, where the lake of your heart grows calm enough to reflect heaven again. James from Atlanta wrote once more after a full year. When I started Elovan's, I was chasing every fear in my head. A year later, my mind is quiet in a way it has never been. My business is thriving, my marriage is healed, and I credit the daily discipline of those prayers. It rewired my entire inner world. James cultivated the stillness. The link is in the description below, and it is pinned in the comments. You are thinking, I have waited this long, I can wait longer. Stop. Every morning without your Elovan's, prayer is a morning the enemy has unguarded access to your mind. $19.99. The price is gone after 1,000 members. Click it now. And not only your mind, your heart must also remain clear so that the flow is not obstructed. I do not require perfection from you, but I desire honesty, a heart that hides nothing from me, that does not nurse bitterness, that does not cling to darkness in the corners. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5, verse 8. When you forgive, when you release, when you choose the light instead of clutching the darkness, my life flows more freely through you. A pure heart is not one that has never been broken. It is one that hides no fracture from me. You do not need to be perfect for my life to flow. You only need to be real. When you try to conceal your fear, your shame, the parts of yourself you consider weak, my flow does not cease, but it is hindered like water meeting an obstruction in the pipe. But when you open yourself, when you hide nothing, the flow becomes clear again. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us. 1 John 1, verse 9. Purity is not the absence of wounds. Purity is the refusal to hide them from me. Like David, who cried out, "Create in me a clean heart, O God." Psalm 51, verse 10. He hid nothing, and that very honesty opened the way for a deeper flow of grace. Understand this clearly. Your role is not defined by how much you can do, but by where you are oriented. Your soul is like an antenna directed toward heaven. An antenna does not generate the signal. It only needs to be aligned to receive it. When you turn your thoughts, your decisions, and your responses toward me, you receive guidance, even when it arrives as the faintest whisper. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Isaiah 55, verse 6. That seeking is not frantic searching. It is the reorientation of your heart. But when you turn toward fear, toward the pressure to prove yourself, toward the expectations of others, the signal becomes distorted, not because I have moved away, but because you have shifted your direction. You have not lost the connection. You simply need to realign. And that return does not require complex rituals. It begins with one small inward decision, a gentle turning, like the prodigal son when he came to himself and chose to return. The journey back begins within, before your feet ever start to move. You must also learn not to let your emotions obscure the truth. Emotions can rise like a violent storm, loud, forceful, fully capable of disorienting you. But I have given you a foundation that does not shift. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. My word is the rock. Your emotions are only foam on the surface. The foam may cover everything for a moment, but it does not have the weight to change the rock beneath it. Remember the wise man who built his house upon the rock. When the rain fell, the floods rose, and the winds blew, that house still stood. Matthew 7, verses 24 and 25. He did not stop the storm. He chose the right foundation. So it is with you. You do not need to control your emotions to remain steady. You only need to stand upon the truth I have spoken. When you stand there, what is temporary will pass, and what is firm will hold you. My beloved, communion does not demand that you become something beyond your own humanity. It does not require you to be extraordinary. It invites you to be honest, rightly aligned, and firmly grounded. When you are honest, I cleanse. When you turn toward me, I transmit. When you stand upon my word, I make you unshakable. And in all of this, know this with absolute certainty. I do not leave you, not for a single moment. When you are weak, I am there. When you lose your direction, I wait for your turning. When you cannot feel me, I am still at work. You never have to sustain this connection on your own. I am the one who holds, the one who leads, the one who flows within you every moment. So I call you now to rise and to walk, not in the panic of the flesh, but in the awakened awareness of a soul that has been stirred to life. I am not calling you to run like one terrified. I am inviting you to walk like one who knows he is hearing the voice of his Father. The seasons when your emotions dragged you backward, the days when you circled and circled the same exhausting thoughts, those have been enough. Now it is time for a shift of axis, no longer turning according to feeling, but according to truth. The righteous shall live by faith, and faith does not stand on the storms outside. It stands on my voice within. Leave the ground where fear has pitched its tent in your mind. You have grown so accustomed to it because you have lived there so long. But it is not where I have called you to dwell. In that place, every strong emotion unsettles you. Every outside voice gains the power to define you. But I did not create you to live that way. I created you to live from the center, the place where I am. I have given you authority. Luke 10, verse 19. And that authority begins with the governance of your own soul under my direction. When I say stand, you do not need to run. When I say open, you do not need to withdraw. When I say be still, you do not need to defend yourself. You are no longer one who reacts under pressure. You become one who responds to my call. I am bringing you out of the old cycles, the patterns of anxiety, self-doubt, and the endless need to prove your worth. Those circles exhausted you because they kept you moving without ever advancing. But now I place you in a new identity, not an identity built on performance, but one established by covenant. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 17. You are no longer bound to the old image. You no longer turn according to emotion. You turn according to my voice. This transformation is not loud, but it is deep, and it is real. You will begin to notice that when emotions rise up like great waves, you are no longer swept away. You stand in the waves without sinking, because your footing is set upon me. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. That light not only shows you the way, it keeps you from slipping. When anxiety knocks, you do not flee. You remain and you listen. When sorrow tries to slam your heart shut, you open. Because I said open, this is not the denial of emotion. It is the placing of emotion under the authority of truth. I am changing your position, beloved. You are no longer like a stone struck endlessly by the waves, subject to every external force, carried wherever the circumstance pushes. You are becoming like a stream directed by me, flowing with purpose along the path I have set. Out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. You are not only enduring the storm, you are carrying life through it. Understand this clearly. I do not only desire to keep you safe, I desire to move through you. I do not only want you to stand firm, I want you to flow. When you keep your heart clear, when you choose the right axis, when you stand upon truth, you will find that your life is no longer governed by what comes at you from the outside. You will be from within, from the place where I dwell. And this is what thousands of Elovians have discovered through the daily prayer rhythm, not merely being kept safe, but becoming a channel through which heaven flows to everyone around them. Robert from Chicago wrote one final time, I joined Elevins to fix my own anxiety. A year later, I am the one my whole family calls when they are afraid. The peace did not just save me, it started flowing through me to everyone I love. Robert became a channel. The link is in the description below this video, and it is pinned in the comments section. Season 3 is live. Episode 6 is being heard around the world this very morning. 277 seats remain. Then the door closes for the month. $19.99, 80% off. Gone after 1,000 members worldwide. The moment you click that link and secure your seat, something will release in your body. You will feel it. A weight will lift. Click it now. When I call you to rise and walk, I am not calling you into panic, but into grounded conviction. Remember Joshua standing before a vast and challenging land. I did not tell him to act according to his emotions. I declared to him, be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1 verse 9. That courage did not come from feeling strong enough. It came from knowing that I was with him. So it is with you. What I am calling forth from you is not impulsive reaction, but a step anchored in my presence. From this moment, you will begin to perceive a quiet yet profound shift. You are no longer carried off by old reactions. Instead of letting emotions set your direction, you will let my voice lead you. Instead of shrinking when fear rises, you will open because you trust. Instead of fleeing from pressure, you will stand because you know you are being held. I am repositioning you, placing you back into the orbit of truth. And within that orbit, you are no longer one swept along by circumstances, but one who is LED from within. To act in awareness means that every step you take flows out of listening. You do not need to hurry to prove anything. You walk in order to obey. You do not need to control everything. You only need to remain in step with me. When you live this way, your life will no longer be lifted up and dropped down by the highs and lows of emotion. You will become a steady current, carrying the life of heaven through the middle of a restless world. So rise, not to fight in your own strength, but to walk in the identity I have placed within you. Leave the old ground where you reacted by instinct, where you were governed by everything that happened around you. Step into new ground where you steward your soul under my direction. Let truth lead you instead of emotion pulling you. And as you do this, you will discover that I am not only keeping you from sinking, I am directing you like a powerful current flowing through solid rock, opening the way, moving toward what I established from the very beginning. But understand this as well, beloved. I have never left the room of your soul. I have always been there. What prevents you from seeing me clearly is not my absence. It is the layers that dim the light, the negative thoughts you hold on to, the wounds you have not released, the quiet comparisons. All of it is like dust gathering on the window of your heart. Spiritual cleansing is not to bring me in, it is to allow you to recognize that I have been there all along. Search me, O God, and lead me in the way everlasting. Psalm 139, verses 23 and 24. My searching is not to condemn you, it is to cleanse you, so that the light is no longer scattered, and you keep that flow clear, not through grand actions, but through sensitivity to the smallest prompting of the Spirit. I do not begin with what is great. I teach you faithfulness in what is small. A word of forgiveness you choose to speak while your heart is still aching. A step back instead of an argument to defend your pride. A decision not to enter something you sense I am not leading. A silence when I prompt you to hold your tongue. He who is faithful in very little is faithful also in much. Luke 16, verse 10. Those small things may seem insignificant to you, but in the spiritual realm, they open wide doors. Remember Naaman. He expected a great and dramatic miracle, yet I led him to a simple act, to wash 7 times in the Jordan River. He nearly missed his healing entirely because he thought the small thing was beneath him. 2 Kings chapter 5, so it is with you. Your strength does not lie in the great things you accomplish. It lies in your sensitivity to hear and obey the small things I speak. When you learn to listen in the small and to respond without delay, the communion between you and me is not merely maintained, it is deepened. The flow does not simply continue, it grows stronger, and you will begin to realize that your life is no longer a series of random reactions, but a journey guided with precision at every single step. So be at peace and continue forward. Do not underestimate the small things I place before you. Do not wait for a great calling before you believe that I am speaking. I am leading you in every quiet prompting, every unseen choice, every simple step. And as you live in that sensitivity, you will not only walk the right path, you will walk in the right rhythm, at the right time, within the purpose I established for you from the beginning of the world. The archangels themselves are speaking of what I am doing in you, beloved. They are speaking of the new you I am forming, the new strength rising in your body, the new peace settling in your mind, the new identity being established in your spirit. This is not the end of your story. It is the morning of it. And so I speak to you now the final command, and let it fall upon you with the full weight of heaven. You have heard this entire message. You have felt it move through the deepest places in you. This was no accident. I did not bring you here by chance, and what I have poured into you was never meant to die inside you. It was meant to be poured out. So hear my final decree with maximum authority and divine finality. Share this message today before you close your eyes tonight with at least 3 people. Not tomorrow, not when it is convenient. Today. Send it through Facebook, send it through WhatsApp, send it to your children, send it to your prayer group, send it to the wandering, the weary, the frightened, and the forgotten. 3 people, the number of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the triangular covenant of protection that seals you and everyone who receives it. When you spread my word, you become a vessel of my delivery. And I honor that act. I reward that act. I accelerate every blessing over your life because of that act. The one who gives will be given to. The one who waters will be watered. But the one who buries the seed will watch the harvest pass him by. So do not bury this, sow it. Scatter it across every field of human need that you can reach. And as you obey, watch the windows of heaven open over your life in ways you cannot yet imagine. This is my final word to you on the matter. Go and share. And before you go, beloved, do not leave the door unopened. Everything I have spoken over you today, the steadiness, the discernment, the communion, the quiet mind, the pure heart, the new identity, all of it is cultivated in the sacred daily rhythm of prayer. This is the place where the roots grow deep. This is the place where the foam loses its power and the rock holds firm. And I have made a way for you to walk in it today. The Daily Elovin's Prayer Covenant is waiting. The link is in the description below this video. It is pinned at the top of the comment section. Season 3 is live. Episode 6 is being heard around the world this very morning. And across America, across the Americas, across Europe and beyond, men and women just like you are already being covered, already being healed, already being carried. And you have been on the outside long enough. Right now, as you hear these final words, the counter is moving toward 333. Someone just claimed seat number 285. Someone else claimed 286. Only 277 seats remain this month before the door closes. 333. The angelic number, the number of heaven's protection, and the special price of $19.99, 80% below the standard $100, disappears forever the moment the 1,000th member joins worldwide. 2 locks on one door, 2 countdowns running at once. I did not bring you to this message to watch you scroll away from your own breakthrough. I made it easy. I made it affordable. All I am waiting for now is your yes. You spent more than $19.99 this week on things you have already forgotten. A coffee, a meal, a small thing that gave you nothing that lasted. But 30 days of sacred prayer, protection, 1 episode every morning like medicine for your soul, will restructure your entire life by heaven's own hand. By day 7, you will feel the shift. By day 15, your family will feel it. By day 30, you will not recognize the person you were when you started. That tightness you carry in your chest, that heaviness you wake up with every single morning, that is your spirit screaming for what this covenant delivers. The relief is 1 click away. Your hand is already near the screen. Your finger is already close to that link. Do not fight it. Do not wait for later, because later is the enemy's favorite word, and later means never. Click the link in the description now. It is pinned in the comments. Secure your seat before it closes. Become an Elovian, a man or a woman who has been chosen, set apart, and spiritually armed by an ancient prayer covenant that the enemy cannot breach. And the moment you do, something will release in your body. A weight will lift. You will feel heaven move. So rise, my beloved child. Rise into the new identity I have formed in you. Walk in the steadiness that no wave can steal. Carry the peace that flows from within. Share the light with 3 souls today, and step into the daily covenant that will keep your roots deep and your flame burning. I am with you in every stirring, in every silence, in every step. I do not lead you from a distance. I live within you, drawing you into my own rhythm. a rhythm that never errs, never wanders, and never ceases. You are mine. You always have been, and I will never, ever let you go.